Right, let's now take you to SABC News reporter Canny Maphanga, who's at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry and joins us live from Pretoria. A very good afternoon to you, Canny. Lebeya has denied knowing Katiso Molefe and also spoken about the poor leadership and planning on the raid that occurred outside that house. Talk to us about some of the highlights.
Well, absolutely. Good afternoon to you, Paul, and to the viewers at home. We've circled back to that 6th of December Operation Takedown of Katiso Molefe, a scene that was described as dramatic, chaotic, and deeply confrontational between all those units that descended on that property once the GCI Ops, supported with the PKTT, went in to conduct that particular operation. Now, the question at hand is not so much whether or not Lebeya knew Katiso Molefe. It's about whether or not the Hawks were sent there to allegedly interfere in the work of the team that was conducting this particular operation at the time. And that is viewed in a greater context of alleged cartel members allegedly enjoying shields in the Gauteng province, which includes other high-ranking law enforcement officials who can offer them that kind of protection whenever legitimate operations descend on them or on their properties. So effectively, the approach by Dr. Godfrey Lebeya is to address issues in the past, seemingly to lay a foundation which would render it impossible for there to be a conclusion that he was allegedly acting for an ulterior purpose in this particular incident. Because the overall allegation is that all of these Hawks officers, even Hawks officers that were set to go on a different operation in the Northwest, had descended on this property in their numbers, were allegedly confrontational and refused to withdraw for a significant period from that particular residence. And the question is why? We're getting an understanding from the point of view of Lebeya, because we have heard from different Hawks officers, even those who were sent, asking why they were deployed there, because this was a legitimate operation. And now the questions are really for Lebeya to answer, because he is the person that would have triggered the entire process after he got that call from someone he describes as Malcolm X to tell him that there were Hawks officers being impersonated there. The approach that he seemingly takes in his evidence in chief is to lay this foundation of interference existing within the South African police services, or rather the criminal justice system. And he even gives examples of where he states that when he followed the rule of law or didn't disobey his oath, it led to consequences for him as well. And that foundation that he's laying becomes important because effectively what he is trying to do before the probe is to show them that if he's had this good track record in the past, there can't be an instance in the future where it could be argued that he was allegedly acting for an ulterior purpose, this incident being that of alleged cartel member Katiso Molefe. So we're still in the initial stages of his statement, where he's denied any knowledge of Katiso Molefe. He's also denied that there was an ulterior purpose. He said that this was a legitimate attempt at checking on allegations of impersonation of Hawks officers, which he says is a common occurrence within the Hawks. There's a history of that particular incident. But even with all of these denials and this evidence that he offers to the Commission, the questions still remain as to if this was a regular occurrence. What was it about this particular incident that required an intervention all the way from the top, and to then deploy the kind of units that you deployed to that particular residence just to verify if indeed there was an impersonation of Hawks officers? Could it not have been done by the nearby police station? Why then invoke all of these units to go there to that particular property in a scene that was described as quite dramatic and could have led to a serious altercation because of the manner in which it was allegedly so hostile when those Hawks officers descended? So a number of questions that Lebeya still has to answer with respect to the manner in which the Hawks approached the scene, or it is alleged that they approached the scene. And then, of course, giving out all these resources, including a helicopter that was flying over the property of Katiso Molefe, just to check if this particular unit or task team, whatever the case may be, were legitimate officers conducting a legitimate operation, seemed like a bit much at the time. And he needs to explain the rationale behind the kind of resources that were given just to this one particular operation when the Hawks had its own work to do then at the time, and some of its officers were turned back from the missions that they were sent to in order to accommodate this particular issue, and they stayed there long enough where there are questions as to why they didn't withdraw from the operation once they saw that these are legitimate cops conducting a legitimate operation. We expect the remainder of that questioning to continue at 2 p.m. when Lebeya returns to the stand to finish off a statement and then, of course, face those probing questions about any role he may have played in this alleged incident that falls in the realm of allegations of interference in the criminal justice system.